Most ladies have no clue how to build glutes or an hourglass figure. And what's worse is the advice they see online from the influencers is only what works for them. But the harsh reality is what works for somebody else probably won't work for you. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can build an hourglass body and grow your glutes with your own specific targets that you can work out completely free. So stick along for the next 5 to 10 minutes, learn how to grow your glutes, implement, and thank me in 6 months' time. So the first thing you have to look at and think about if you're growing your glutes isn't just what are you doing in the gym. We'll show you that in a couple of minutes' time, but what you need to think about is what are you doing outside the gym? Because no woman ever built their glutes through eating dust and lettuce. You have to eat real food and have a strong protein target. So if you're a lady watching this, take your body weight in pounds times by 0.7 to 1 gram. This is how much protein you're gonna have every day. Then if you're trying to drop body fat, you're only gonna be in a deficit of 300 to 500 calories, and you can work out what that is by hitting the link in the description for my free calorie calculator. But if you wanna go supersonic mode with building those glutes, you wanna be eating in a caloric surplus, where you're consuming more calories than you're burning every day to really fuel growth. So your nutrition is important and so is your food quality. You're not just gonna eat junk and dirty bulk. So you're gonna gain loads of body fat. You wanna stay petite and lean as you're growing your glutes, so you create the illusion of an hourglass figure. Because if your body comes out here, your glutes aren't gonna get the credit they deserve because the waist has come out. So you wanna keep yourself nice and lean as you're building the glutes, because if your waist is thinner, the hourglass and the glutes look even bigger. So with nutrition, make sure you're having good, high quality foods. For protein, meat, fish, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. These types of protein-based foods are best, and the same with your carbohydrate sources, potatoes, rice. With your fat sources, avocado, nuts, oil. Have the right quality foods to grow faster. Then outside of your nutrition, you wanna make sure you're sleeping well, 7 to 9 hours, because this is primarily where the muscle is grown, and you're reducing stress levels. So your cortisol is not through the roof, causing bad decision making and more struggle in growing the glutes. And let's get on to the fun part. What exactly should you do when you're in the gym to grow a peach? So if you're training glutes, it's good to start your workouts with like a seated adduction, because you don't want to go too much into a super heavy movement like an RDL or a squat before you have some kind of precursor movement. So I like to do a seated adduction as movement number 1, where I'm holding onto these handles. They're here for a reason. It's driving out with a slow tempo. Everything's about tempo when you're training the glutes. If you come out and you're just swinging the weight, you're never gonna really contract the muscle. So tempo is important. You come out, you squeeze and hold, and you slowly come back in. And it doesn't have to be absolute slow motion. Good form and good reps could just look like this. Then movement number 2, Romanian deadlift, where you're gonna be hitting the glutes in a little bit more of a stretch position. So simply, I like to go for an over-under grip with this, because if you go over, the bar can roll to the tip of your fingertips and make the grip more difficult. So you're gonna grab the bar, not waste too much energy, you're just gonna take 2 steps back, shoulders back, chest up, and you're gonna push your glutes to the back of the room. And you wanna hinge through the hips as much as you can, and you don't need to thrust at the top because the gravity is pushing you down, not forwards, which means the thrust at the top does fuck all. So keep the bar close to the body, try to roll it down your legs as much as you can so your lower back don't round, and take emphasis away from the glutes and the hamstrings, which is primarily worked in a Romanian deadlift. You're then gonna do a Bulgarian split lunge. Now the idea of this is I want you to sit back on that back heel, and you're gonna come up in more of a diagonal motion. If you wanna work more the quads, you'll go a lot more vertical. If you wanna work a lot more glutes, you're gonna sit back and come up more diagonally to better recruit the glutes when you're doing a split lunge. The next one is a step up. Now with this one, try to avoid your back leg using momentum to come up. You wanna try and bring your back leg an inch or 2 off the floor, put all of the pressure over the front working leg, and then step up. So I'm gonna lean forwards, slightly come off the floor, and then press up with a slow tempo back down. Obviously use heavier weights in this. This is demo purpose. Lean over, step, push, slowly down, then sit back. So this back leg isn't making your reps look like this, because that's shit. The next one, you're gonna train the glutes in the shortened position with one of the king exercises for the glutes, and that's the hip thrust. Now, traditionally, you're gonna have a bar that rolls across you with a bar pad so it doesn't crush your pelvis. Your feet are gonna be planted nice and flat. Ideally, if you've got a flat sole shoe, even better. You know, the running trainers and the bubbly trainers aren't gonna allow you to drive your feet into the ground to really focus on the glutes doing the movement. So barefoot, Converse Vans or Jordans or weightlifting shoes will be the best bet. So here, you're gonna tuck your chin all the way down. You're gonna drive up through the hips. So chin down, eyes facing forwards, drive up through the hips, back down. The mistake is this. That's not how you want the movement to look. Chin down, eyes forward, feet planted, driving through the hips, coming up, straight back down. The next one is a back squat. So here, if your toes flare out, that's fine. Most people try to have their toes facing directly forwards and their knees cave. It's down to the bone structure of your pelvis. So if your feet flare, that's no problem at all. You're gonna keep your shoulders pierced back and your elbows back slightly as well, because the shoulders pierced back. You're gonna have your elbows pierced back. You're gonna pull your shoulder blades together and bring your elbows back slightly to create a shelf for the bar to sit on. Then when you squat down, you're gonna slightly lean forwards, come down to parallel or just below, drive your feet into the ground and all the way back up. You don't need to thrust at the top because the weight is pushing you down, not forwards, the same as an RDL. The only time you thrust is on a hip thrust, not an RDL on a squat. So you're gonna squat down, pause, drive the weight back up again. Bear with my drawing, but to have the illusion of a thinner waist, you wanna work on your rear delts and upper back. Because if you have a thin waist and it just goes directly up, that thin waist doesn't become an hourglass. It becomes an hourglass when it dips in and comes back out again. So you wanna work on your rear delts and your upper back with exercises like rear delt flies or a cable crossover or a lat pull down or a seated row or a dumbbell bent over row. I'll link this in the caption below for another video that me and our client Charlie done called Pull Day, which will show you what exercises to do for these muscles too. But you need to involve these to create that illusion of a thinner waist and therefore the illusion of bigger glutes as well. Now, if you found this useful and you want even more advice on exactly how to grow your glutes with not just the exercises in the gym, but specific nutrition strategies, I very recently posted a full video on how to work out your calories, your macronutrient targets, and exactly what foods to eat to grow muscle. We'll link it to this video so you can go ahead and watch. But in the meantime, if you found this useful, like, subscribe, and comment with any other exercises or training programs that you want, and I'll film it in the next video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.